Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Between Sermons. I'm your host, Brent McQuay. I get to be the lead pastor here at Disciples Church. And this show is all about taking that Sunday sermon and turning the monologue into a dialogue. So today we're gonna dive in. We're gonna have a great conversation digging into the life of Joseph as we kicked off a new series. But before we get into all that, Taisha, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
We were just having a great conversation about what a co-host is.
Co-host, yes. Can you inform the people that you're the host and I'm the co-host?
No. So I don't know where you get this as co. Co is equality. There's an equality here, Taisha.
Definition.
Co-host means so in my world, co-host means you do all the work and I get to just sit here.
Exactly.
That's
what that means.
Right, Marcus? I mean, that's
what I was thinking.
That's the definition of a co-host.
I'm definitely gonna have the definition.
All assistants do all the work anyway.
I know, right?
That's true.
That's very true.
So yeah.
Anyway,
they just make their bosses look good, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't mind any of those things, but we have today with us, I'm going to say Pastor Marcus Ivy, because that's all I heard on Sunday. What do you think about that?
I mean, it is what it is.
Okay, Marcus Ivy.
Yeah, Marcus
What is your
Ivy.
official title here at Disciples Church?
I'm the discipleship coordinator.
Awesome.
Yes.
It's probably a pretty important role at Disciples Church.
Church.
I know.
Might be a little vital in there.
Right.
I was talking to somebody and I was like, yeah, when you name your church Disciples Church, you better have a really good plan for making disciples.
I know. I actually have a story, but I'm not going to share it. But anyway, no, it was just...
Who teases a story like that?
I know, because I don't know. I'm always like, is this appropriate? It was just funny. Like, a church was thinking about changing their name to something similar.
Oh, really?
And they didn't. And it's just because of, like, the
they weren't ready for it?
They weren't ready. And so it's such a heavy mantle to just Disciples Church. But I'm glad. Gives us... focus here, making disciples.
I was talking to actually one of my coworkers, not coworkers, my old coworkers on the way here.
I was like, I thought you were retired. What happened? You went back?
I'm retired. Nah,
you're back in prison.
Right.
Nah. And so he checked.
Just for clarity, Marcus worked at the prison.
I worked at the prison. I was not in the prison. But we were talking about DC, and he actually checked us out a little bit. He lives closer to another church, so he went out there. But he was like, man, Disciples Church, like, that's amazing. He was like people, he's like, it's so defined. He was like, you go to all these different long name places and stuff, and it's hard, you know, the identity of that church is hard. He was like, man, he said, that's the most straightforward thing I've heard in the name of church. I'm like, yeah, well.
We got one thing we're trying to do.
It's Pastor Brent, right?
Come on, we got to keep it simple.
He's so simple, so straightforward. I won't say he's simple, but he's very straightforward.
I am very simple. You don't make it complex on me. I'm simple.
That's
simple-minded.
A whole other podcast. You are not... You're like, isn't women are like spaghetti and men are like, or am I getting that wrong?
I've never heard that before.
Anyway.
Please continue that
Venus
one.
and Mars, that's all I heard.
Have you heard that, Pretty?
Not no spaghetti.
Women are spaghetti and men are lasagna? Is that what is?
Somebody, let me know in the comments if you heard something similar to that.
I'm more of a fan of fettuccine myself, but...
It's just like, anyway, we're gonna keep going. It's like the complexity of things.
Okay.
I feel bad for people that are only listening to this podcast and not seeing it because they're missing all of the hand motions of what a spaghetti is.
Spaghetti.
Anyhow, we started a new sermon series here called that was tripping people up.
Titled Call.
Look at you.
Yes.
I like the grammar. Titled
Call.
We're gonna add that to the announcements. Titled Call.
I'm just gonna stick with it's called.
Yeah, because I was saying call.
We're doing a new series called
Called. No. So in my introduction, I was like, yeah, we're starting this called. I was like, that don't sound right.
It's just tripping you up.
Yeah.
So we started a new sermon series, and you had an opportunity to open it up. First of all, how was that pressure to kick off a whole new series?
A whole new series.
Just throwing them in the deep
DC.
end.
Right. I was. Very humbling, honestly. I'm like, oh, okay, to start a series, right? So I got to come with
you got to come.
I got to come with definitions and all types of stuff.
And you did.
But it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good sermon series. So you kicked it off with Joseph.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about.
Wow. Such a subtle dig.
Whoa.
Such a subtle dig.
Do you know that's been haunting me since I got off the stage? Like, man.
It was good.
It was good and long.
History was good. It was on point. But I promise you, if you was in the building and you don't know about Joseph,
You know him now.
And that wasn't, man, I left out so much.
It was, yeah.
Like, and I think, it was hard to get all of that in.
Sorry, I'm going to do the same thing with David next week.
Man.
And then the week after and the week after.
gonna be
For like the
always-
next 85 years, we're just going to talk through David.
Right.
man, well, at least we'll know. Like, you can't walk away and be like, I don't know
Yeah.
about the story of David or Joseph or the other people we're going to highlight in this series. So tell us a little bit, summarize a little bit about what you taught on Sunday before we dive in.
Man, Joseph, like I said, is probably one of my most favorite people in the Bible. Him and David, I can't wait till next week. Like, David's my guy. But just to see like this young dude, have this conversation with God, and he's revealing stuff to him. Like, where they do that at?
Yeah.
I wish I had that relationship with God at that age. You know what I'm saying? How much more would I be? But everybody got to go through their things. But anyway, just looking at his story and how he navigated those things. Like, he was a brave little dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, said to be 17 and. And we laugh about it, but like to have this meeting in your house and say y'all gonna be bowing down to me, it's hilarious.
That's intense.
Yeah, and it's very intense. So anyway, so all of this stuff happens. Get to hear that, the dreams. Like he's an awesome man of God. Just kind of going through his life and the challenges he came up with, and honestly, he didn't even do anything wrong. We get a lot of the white meat things, but like Joseph didn't do anything. Like he got thrown into the fire in the pit. They were trying to kill him, Potiphar's wife, and all that stuff. So, just to watch him navigate those things in his life, it really gives me hope. Like, man, like that's like I can do that. You know what I'm saying? And thank God that I have a relationship with them, so that I can rely on that.
Yes.
But I've done some stuff. Joseph didn't do anything.
So yesterday in our small group, we talked about the message, and one of the things that was brought up was, is it his fault he was thrown into the pit? Because he was kind of bragging like, y'all gonna bow down. So do you think he was bragging? Was that like pride, or was he just like sharing out of excitement, like, you guys are gonna bow down to me one day? Like, how does this unpack? I don't know. I know scripture don't really talk about his heart position.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I would say, like, I don't know that we can accuse him of pride.
Right.
Okay, but
We
that was
can accuse him of foolishness.
okay.
Because was it wise for him to share that? No.
No.
Did God tell him in the dream, you need to go tell your brothers about this? No.
Okay.
So, like, Joseph, to me, that's like the most 17-year-old thing to do.
Typical.
Like, you're
Okay.
so excited because
Typical.
God gave you a word. You're just going
Yeah.
to tell everybody. And it's like,
Yeah.
maybe that wasn't for everybody to know
Right.
in the moment.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's a fun, I don't know, thought experiment conversation, though, because some people will be like, well, if he didn't tell him, then he wouldn't have been
Right.
in the pit, and he wouldn't have been sold, and he wouldn't have been Potiphar's house, he wouldn't have been in the prison, so he wouldn't have been with the
Right.
Pharaoh.
Right.
And it's like, all those things work. It's like, okay, yeah, but God worked all things together
Right.
for good, which means God could have done even greater if Joseph just kept his mouth shut from 17 to 25.
But here we go, because
So-
we always have this thing about God's
who knows?
sovereignty and how it was his sovereignty that he was foolish.
Yeah. Could God have done all the things that God accomplished without Joseph ever going to prison?
Absolutely.
And I would say yes.
Yeah,
Yes, God could have.
Definitely.
I agree.
So,
Okay.
should
Yeah.
Joseph have kept his mouth shut? Probably.
Like many of us.
Should probably
Sometimes
keep
just
our mouths
keep
shut.
our mouths shut.
Sometimes you share, sometimes you don't.
Man.
Yeah.
That was good. But I think it works out because in this story it talks about how God used all of those things for the good of the story. So even like, how his brothers betrayed him, like not even betray him, like threw him, sold him into slavery, threw him in a pit, how the Potiphar's wife, and can y'all nerd out there? Does she really not have a name in scripture, or is there a name?
Yeah,
and we
scripture.
just
She's,
Potiphar's
I mean,
wife.
I mean, she had a name in real life.
In real life,
like-
but it never said it in.
Yeah, the Bible
it
just
doesn't
doesn't
say
tell
it
us what her name
anywhere.
is.
Cause
No, the Bible does that to a lot of people.
Okay.
Like there's a bunch of people like are just referred to as like the servant of
Right.
Yeah.
this other person, and it's
Okay.
like, well, they played a pretty vital role, but we
Yeah.
don't even get their name because
Yeah.
it's not important. Because the story of the Bible is not about people; it's about God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not about people. It's about God.
Could you imagine being referenced in the Bible? What do they think and not be named? What?
What would they say? What would they say if they reference you?
Look, I think the servant is like, oh my goodness, I'm in the Bible. Like this is amazing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that's true. So thinking about the story, let's make it more relatable to you. Do you have a similar journey as? First of all, do you know what your calling is? Let's start there.
I'm called to teach.
Teach.
To teach, to empower, to pour into people.
How did you come to that?
Man, so I had this lady in my life. She was a teacher. She was my pastor's mother, and we called her Sister Teacher. Yeah, Sister
That's
Teacher.
awesome.
T-shirt.
You talking
it
about
simple,
one
Sister
of the
Teacher.
that's almost as good as
coldest-
called.
So she was so cold. She has a library in her house.
Wow.
And she would go get these books, Dietrich Bonhoeffer and all these dudes. You're
Yeah.
like, what is all of this stuff? So she,
Dietrich's the guy. You gotta read Dietrich.
Oh man, yeah,
That must be
she's the
before
bomb.
me. You know, y'all older than me, so.
Hush. But anyway, yeah. So I think I've always kind of been in the leadership from little league, captains of football, track, and all that stuff. But getting into a ministry once I got saved, I was at that position like, what am I here for? I think I may have mentioned before, like it was one day, it was a watershed moment. Like I was saved and I just threw myself across the bed, like what am I supposed to be doing? And then that's kind of start going to some of her classes. And just, her just calling on you. Well, not even calling you, but making you do stuff. Like she made my wife teach Sunday school one day. And so just coming up from her and her pouring in and just kind of bringing those things out that were already in me. So I love teaching. Yeah, just got to learn how to shorten it up a little bit. But
Yeah. No,
I'm
no. I
long-winded
said,
too.
no. Do you.
That was my favorite thing. Like walking out of the sanctuary, Marcus grabs me. He's like, "Do I need to shorten up that intro?" And I was like, "Yeah." I didn't even sugarcoat it or nothing. I was just like, "Yeah."
I'm on the front row like delete. But also so a sidebar. So I know you said like 3,500 words is like 35 minutes sermon or something. I think I got to just stick with like 1,500 because I do a lot of ad libbing.
say a lot
And it's
more.
like you don't account for that. But anywho,
Yep.
No, I think that's good. The reason I asked that question is because I run into a lot of individuals who are part of church in general, and they really do not know what their calling is. Like we talk about purpose, and I don't know if those two are kind of like the same in one, but it's like I don't know what I'm called to. Like I didn't get a dream from Jesus saying that people will bow down to me, or I didn't have someone speak into my life or prophesy into my life and say, this is what I believe God is calling you to do. So first, let's start there. Like, how can we encourage people who didn't have that moment to really take inspiration from the sermon? Because if you don't even feel called, the whole story doesn't even resonate with you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So my calling didn't come from that. Like it wasn't. I didn't look up in the skies and saw called to teach in the sky. It was developed.
Okay.
So, and a lot of times that's where your calling comes from. Things you already been doing, and it's just developed over time. And eventually, if you look back, you're like, oh, that's why I was doing that, or that's why I was there. And I think that's why a lot of people take this being called weird. I remember hearing stories back in the day when you were called. The first thing they say, oh, he a preacher.
Yes.
Like, I'm not just called to do that.
Yeah.
And so I had a story, one of my pastors, like, the guy said he was called. So, like, they would put you up next Sunday to literally preach.
Wow.
And he said he had experiences like that. You're called, and it's so many people, I think I may mention, like, it's undefined, it's unnurtured.
Yeah.
So you get this calling, and it's like you're getting thrown in the fire, but you don't even know what it is you're called to do in many cases. So it's not as clear, I don't think, and defined in everyone. But I think once you get it, I think one of the most important things to do is to make sure that you nurture, that you get with people who has that same calling, to kind of flush some things out and just make it better.
Yeah, I think something that could probably help people is that everybody has the same calling. It's the how that kind of varies from person to person.
That's good.
So everybody is called to, the way I define it is three things. Everybody is called to glorify God, to follow Jesus, and to love one another.
That's
Like
good.
biblically, like scripturally based, like that is our calling. Like we are to glorify God. That's how you live your life. That's worship. That's prayer. That's dedication to Him. That's just how you live. You're called to follow Jesus, follow His teachings, do what He tells you to do. One of those teachings just happens to be love one another, but that shows up so much in Scripture that it is clearly, it's a calling of every believer. It's how we're supposed to be identified as disciples, by the love we have for one another. So everybody is called to love one another. It's the how we do that. I do that, not exclusively, but I do that a lot through teaching. But other people will do that through acts of service. They'll do that through administrative giftings. Like how you do these things, how you glorify God, how you follow Jesus, and how you love one another is going to vary from person to person. But what you're called to do is just that. The problem is a lot of times we mix up that biblical calling to like these very specific how calls. Like David was called to do all those things, but he was also to do those things as the king of Israel. Right? So like how was different for David, as we'll get into next week. But what we're called to do, it's the same for all of us.
So let's stay there for a little bit, because I think that there's people watching that may feel like, well, what if I'm not called to leadership? What if I'm not called to being the king, or in this case, the president of the United States, or a pastor, or like because all of the people we're highlighting, they had great callings. And I even hate saying that. So how do we encourage people? You get what I'm saying?
I think we need to start recognizing that the greatest calling is to do the thing that God created you for. And so the greatest calling is not to be on a stage, it's to do what God called you to do. Like for me, being the pastor who stands on the stage, like that's not what's important. What's important is that I'm obedient to God. That I am glorifying Him with my life, that I am following Jesus, that I am loving others, right? And so that's what becomes most important. The problem is we see somebody that's got 10 million followers on Instagram, and we're like, man, look at them walking in their calling. But you could also look at the guy that's cleaning out the bathrooms in the church. You should have the same reaction of, man, look at them following in their calling.
I mean, and I think that's why looking at all those definitions and going back to some of the teachings from Sister Teacher, like I got files and stuff. We dealt with that calling. We were in a class. It was called Ministers on a Mission. And we talked about and defined, and so that inward call, that's the first and important. You got to have an inward call, and that's to follow Christ. Like he said, that's the most important. So let's start there, everybody. Then you have the things that God calls you to do. That's the inward. The things that so your outward, your inward. Like the things you're supposed to do, your passion, the desires, those things, that your gifts and stuff like that. And then your upward, like how am I going to activate these things? You go out and love on people. You go out and serve and stuff like that. So, that inward, outward, and upward, that made it so clear to me. And, so you won't be searching around for, like you saying, like, what about just the average Joe? I'm not, I don't have this or whatever. But so the inward, outward, and upward, that made it so simplified for me.
And I think in general, we just need to kind of change the definition of what like purpose or calling really means, because it is as simple as like being called biblically. You serve and you're loving. I think just society in general, which causes, I know we talked about mental illness and health and anxiety last week, but I think all of that comes from the pressures we get from like in society to be this grand thing, to have the 10K followers, to be on the stage. Like that is the goal, and we need to stop creating goals like that and really walk out the journey and
just be faithful.
Be faithful. And that was a part of one of your points, being faithful. Let's talk about those points, because I really liked how you broke down the points. You had being faithful, having integrity, and the last one was endurance. So how in this story, how does the faithfulness key or point relates to Joseph's story? Because I mean, he was thrown in jail. Was it once or twice? Because I feel like he got out and then got thrown back
No,
in.
he's just thrown in jail once.
Okay.
Just once.
I'm adding more to his story.
I mean, the pit might as well have been in jail. Well,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, so he's thrown in a pit,
Yeah.
sold into slavery, falsely accused, arrested, thrown into prison,
Yep.
ignored, forgotten about,
Man.
and then finally released.
Yep.
I forget, how many years is it total? Like from the time he's betrayed by his brothers
That's
to he's standing before Pharaoh? It's like 20 years, 25 years?
So it's 13 years from the time he was promised, 2 years or more waiting, so that's 15, and then however many years. So it's like 22, 25 years.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
That's what I just remember, that 20-year range.
Yeah.
That's intense. Like to know.
Yeah.
I think I would have gotten discouraged and been like, no.
Oh, absolutely. Like, there's people all
Yeah.
the time that are like, man, God, I got this dream from God 20 days ago, and it still hasn't happened.
Right.
Why has he
20
forgotten about me? Like,
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
calm down.
That's
Yeah.
intense.
And even in the waiting for something for 20 days, you got to remain faithful.
Yeah.
Just 20 years of waiting on something. How many would just, like I said, I would have bounced probably at like year 2, like I'm gonna do something else, right? But for him to remain faithful and know and trust what God said he was going to happen was going to happen, and there's no timeline in that. God is outside of time, so I have to remain faithful. Like, trusting God is crazy sometimes, right? You know, in our own mind, in our own self, like, how am I supposed to do this? And you just got to be faithful. You got to stick with it. You got to stick with it.
One of the things that I love about his faithfulness, like, I want to connect his faithfulness to his attitude. Because I think that's where people were like, all right, well, I'm just going to grit my teeth and bear it. We don't get that impression from Joseph at all. Like, so he's betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery. That's going to give you a bad attitude.
Right.
And yet he served in Potiphar's house in such a way that Potiphar was like, this
the
dude
dude.
is amazing.
Man, yes.
Like, so like his attitude
Yeah.
towards Potiphar, his attitude towards the wife, his attitude as a servant was exemplary. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Then he's falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit, thrown in prison, and his attitude is, he's so faithful even there, and his attitude is so amazing that the guards are like, look, man, you just run the prison yourself.
Right.
We'll just hang out over
We just
here.
chill out.
You just
Yeah.
take care of things, man. You got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it so many times I think people miss, like, well, I'll be faithful, and it's just they get a bad attitude and they just sit there and like, well, I'm being faithful. I'm just
waiting on God.
Wait
Just
until he
waiting
does
on
his
God.
thing. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna be faithful. And it's like, get the bad attitude out of there, because that's not faithful is not having a bad attitude.
Yep.
You-
Ooh,
that
man,
was-
you better
oh,
preach
oh.
that.
Pretty like, yes. Okay.
Somebody burned my biscuits.
Somebody burnt
Right?
your-
Is that what we said earlier? Somebody burned my biscuits. Brent's in a mood today.
Brent's in a mood and biscuits were burned. And that's a real thing. Let me know if you agree. That's a real thing. I don't even know where that came from. I think it's an old like England term or something like that. But anyway, no, that's good. The attitude. So, okay, Pastor Brent, since you spicy today, have there been seasons in your life where you've had to wait, or where you feel like, man, I know this is not where God wants me to be. Ideally, this is in the waiting. So,
So yes and no. So the way I view it, I don't ever view waiting as just waiting. I view it as preparation. And so, like, there were seasons in my life where, like, I knew that it was temporary. It was for a season. I knew it wasn't the thing that, like, I'm built for. But I recognized that in that season there was a lesson I was learning, or there was a skill that I was acquiring, or there was something that God was doing in that season. So I needed to just be fully invested in that moment. And so, and I've experienced that my entire life, and I think that we never stop that moment. Like, I'm sure right now, as lead pastor of the church, some would view that as like, well, you've reached the pinnacle. Like, you can't get any higher than that. It's like, man, I think it's still just God's just preparing me for something.
Yep.
And so I think, and that's not Brent saying I'm leaving.
no, I know. I'm just saying.
Now go back, rewind, see what he said.
Not happening. So I just recognize that, like, there have definitely been times in my life when, like, I knew that there was something different or something more on the horizon, but I didn't feel like I was waiting for that moment. I was in school, I was in training, I was in development.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that, like, I've known in advance, like, hey, God wants me to do this thing, in my calling, but I'm not ready for it. And so there's a preparation for it.
Like, so you were self-aware.
Yeah, and so I don't think, like, Joseph doesn't make as good of a leader of the entire nation of Egypt, or second in command of all of Egypt. He doesn't make that great of a leader doing that if he hadn't first learned how to care for his father's farm, and then learn how to manage a whole house, and then manage an entire prison. Like, there's lessons that I'm sure he's learning in those places that make him better equipped when all of a sudden now he's got an entire people group that he's over. And so, like, for me, I don't know, I guess I just have a weird relationship with waiting than I think most. Like, the waiting isn't wasted. Like,
were you self-taught, or did you? Because everyone don't have that gift or that skill.
So naturally I have always been more self-aware, and that feels a little braggadocious or prideful or something.
Being like Joseph,
like
no one throws him in the pit.
I don't mean it like that. I recognize that, like, in conversation with people, that maybe it's you watch too much American Idol back when it was popular, and it was like, I'm a great singer, and you're like, no, you're not.
Yeah,
like,
so that's
all my friends say I'm amazing. Your friends are lying to you. Like, it's just
they were encouraging them.
No, they were lying. They should have been encouraging them to do something else.
Y'all are tough critics.
They should have been encouraging them to take vocal lessons, or encouraging them to pick up an instrument instead. You love music? Maybe pick up the guitar.
This ain't the show.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where I think I grew up thinking that everybody was self-aware, and then I started realizing that, like, not everyone is. It's kind of like that old saying that common sense isn't quite so common. Which is very rude to say, but it's, sometimes. But I think that part of it too is also just having great people around me. Internship I was a part of, like, they made everything into preparation, and it was like, even in times when it was like, hey, we got to wait here for 8 hours before we're going to be able to do something. All right, what are you going to do in those 8 hours? All right, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, read your Bible, like, make the most of the time. And so I think that just, watching my parents, seeing other leaders in ministry, like, I had great examples around me. So a little bit of both, I guess.
That's awesome.
To answer your question.
Yeah. What about you, Marcus? Do you feel like on that journey to getting to where you are now, where you are teaching, you said was what you felt like God was calling you to do. How was that for you? What was that process for you?
Kind of the same. It wasn't nothing where I was like, oh, I'm waiting on this. But just like in sports at a young age, always being selected to be like the captain of the football team. Just, the process, even in that, at that young age, making sure that I'm first in sprints, or I'm, really taking on this leadership role, and just, teaching others, hey, you need to do this, you run the route this way, whatever. Going up to high school, and, just in college and different organizations and stuff like that. Just really taking advantage of the times of development. And I think most times, most people want to rush those times. And then so your preparation or who you're becoming, it's not really where it should be, because you want to rush out of a situation. And I'm not saying, that's a bad thing. Some people just want to get out of it. Maybe the fire's too hot. But just kind of just taking time to develop through all those different seasons of life is, I think, what I've learned the most.
That's good. So we know the biggest part of this story and his calling. I know next week we're probably going to talk about, like, mistakes and how your mistakes can interfere with your calling. I don't know. I'm guessing. But
maybe a little bit next week. A lot of it probably the week after that. Because we're throwing a curveball in the middle of the series. So the series we're doing was it 5 weeks? So five different people from the Old Testament that had like a clear, like, this is what they're supposed to do. And so we got great people like Joseph and David and Esther and Nehemiah, and then right in the middle we're throwing Saul in there, who is a complete failure. And we're gonna talk a lot about.
Who's teaching that one?
My wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
That's gonna be good. Okay, yeah, she's just as spicy. I think she rubbed off on you today.
Maybe, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll get into that a little bit with David. We're gonna talk about repentance a bunch, but yeah.
Yeah, because we know we can get in our own way. Right. But in this case, Joseph had some real haters, like from day one. His brothers, then the sneaky wife of the Potiphar's wife. You know, the person he found favor with. The wife had a whole nother agenda. So, like, how...
I feel like you really want to give her a name.
I do.
Yeah, let's just name her.
Just give her a name.
Go ahead.
Go for it, Taisha.
Just name her.
Name her.
Tiffany.
Why'd you go for Tiffany like
that? Okay,
so
random, not because I know any Tiffany's. All the Tiffany's I know are great. I wrote a fictional book back in the day called Emotionally Discombobulated, and the main character name was Tiffany, so I just went with her.
Okay, all right. Okay. So Tiffany and Joseph.
So, okay. No, but the
this is why people tune into the podcast.
I know.
Right, let's see what they...
the craziness we do. There was a scripture, and I want to pull it up, and I'm pretty sure you hit on it in your message, but I thought it's an amazing scripture. It says, Genesis 50:20. It says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for my good." I thought that was a good message for the story. I thought it was a good verse for the story of Joseph, because he had a lot of people just interfering with that calling. So first, can people, I'm being logical here, can people really interfere with an assignment or the calling that God has on your life? Is it really like
I don't think they can,
or is God using those haters to push you where you're supposed to be?
Everything is intended for good. Like, you know, if you think of it like that. So sometimes we focus too much on the haters. Right, and so we can get drawn away because we focusing on. But if God told you something to do, ain't nothing nobody can do. The hater, the liker, or nothing. It is what it is. So can't no hater stop nothing.
But they kind of interfere.
Well, I was gonna say the only asterisk I put on that is if you let them.
If you let them.
Right. So like I think people can interfere with what you're supposed to be doing if you let them.
Yeah. If you start focusing on them, like. Get out of here. Oh
man, this person said I would never be able to do this thing, so why even try? Like that could shut you down. But I think that the statement that Joseph makes, what you intended for harm, God intended for good, or God used for good, I think that's ties into New Testament. All things work together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purposes. Yeah. I think that there can be bad things that happen in your life. I think that there are bad people in your life, but even through all that, God can use it, like even the bad stuff. So does it necessarily mean that that's what was supposed to happen? Not necessarily. Like some people can, the devil shows up and tries to throw curveballs and tries to do things to combat what you're supposed to be doing. But at the end of the day, if you start thinking that people are more powerful than God, you kind of got some messed up theology.
Yep.
That's good. Some people can feel like they're being held back by people.
Sure.
For reasons of jealousy.
And here's where we have to be so careful with that. That's why I think that labeling your calling as three things: called to glorify God, called to follow Jesus, and called to love one another. I think you need to put more emphasis on that, because if you think that your calling is, I'm supposed to be the lead pastor of Disciples Church, and then somebody comes along and creates some kind of, disruption to the church, some kind of scandal, some kind of issue, and now all of a sudden I'm no longer the lead pastor of the church, like I have to step down or something. Does that mean that I'm no longer used by God? Does that mean that I no longer have calling? No, but my position is gone. Like, if you think that your calling is to be the vice president of the company that you're at, and then you get fired, like, did somebody just destroy your calling? No, like that was a position, that was a title, but that's not your calling.
That's so good.
You can lose your job and still be called.
So it's the position that people are focused on.
Yeah, not necessarily the calling.
Titles and positions get you all the
So
time.
if you're fired, how can you glorify God? How can you follow Jesus? And how can you love one another no longer working at that company? You can still do all those things. You're still called.
That is some true resilience.
Yeah, and I think it is just the hard thing that I think, especially Western minds, American culture, like we've got this whole, you got to strive and fight for the top position. I think that there's some greatness to that. Like American exceptionalism, like I don't think it's all that bad. Yeah. I think we just have to be careful when we put so much of our identity in that, in what we've achieved. Yeah. Because inevitably you fail, you mess up, something happens, and if my focus is, man, when our church has this many people in attendance, that means I've succeeded in my calling. Mm-hmm. Like we're gonna have a Sunday where like everybody's on vacation, and now all of a sudden I'm gonna go home depressed.
Right.
Like that's dumb.
Yeah. That happens though in real life.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's the day after Sunday, like a lot of pastors struggle.
Oh yeah, pastors struggle on Monday morning.
Yeah.
Which is why we usually record the podcast on Monday morning. I don't have time to struggle if we're recording a podcast.
That is hilarious.
That's the setup. That's why no Mondays off.
Strategic in his
I do think that is part of it. I think there's a lot of churches that take Monday as their day off, and I kind of feel like that's a bad idea. Like, you're exhausted from Sunday, but a lot of preachers, man, like depression and stuff, like rates in pastors is scary. Because they put so much on success is achieving something.
Yeah.
But man, like, just be faithful. Like, who cares the success or not success? Like, be faithful.
Yeah.
That is so good. We have a pastor who's faithful, right, Marcus?
Faithful, yeah.
I didn't say I was faithful. I just said that.
Said B.
I said B. That's the goal. I'm trying to be faithful.
I can't with you today. So let's go ahead and land this plane.
We didn't even get to his other 2 points. All we got was
Integrity.
faithful. What about integrity?
Well, you
want to talk about integrity?
Yes. Yep.
You don't want to be integrous?
Host. Yes,
wanna be
host.
integrous?
Let's talk about integrity and enduring. So
You're just always trying to land planes.
No.
She like ready. I'm ready.
It's
Like,
really
we're flying from here to California. You want to stop in Texas?
I like stopping. Actually, I just did a road trip with my husband, and I looked at him. I said, "Can we stop at the gas station?" And he was like, "Why?" I'm like, "That's the whole point of taking a road trip is stopping."
Get there.
No.
That's the point of the road trip is to get there.
It's about the journey, not the destination. Come on, Marcus.
It goes with the spaghetti and the other stuff I was talking about.
I really want to know what the other half of that thing is.
Like,
if women are spaghetti, what are men? Like, what's the other half? You haven't given us the other half, and it's driving me crazy.
What did chat say? Okay, we'll come back to that as we
It'll
unpack.
probably be like the meatballs or something.
Probably.
What is this conversation? Maybe we should have landed the plane.
No, let's talk about integrity. So,
What was the third point?
integrity and enduring. So we did talk about enduring and being faithful and enduring. I think goes hand in hand. But the integrity piece is big because there probably was moments where he could have dropped the ball, and that is something I always think about. It's like, don't drop the ball.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll just jump in, and then we can finish with integrity. But endurance is necessary because anybody can be faithful in a moment. Can you be faithful over a series of moments? Can you be faithful over time? Anybody can have integrity in this situation. Can you can you have integrity for the length of your life? Like, the endurance is how long you do this. Because Joseph could have been faithful for the first year, but it would be a different story if he didn't continue being faithful after the first year. He could have had integrity in Potiphar's house and then been cutting deals and doing shady stuff in prison.
Yeah.
Getting his
That's
teardrop
true.
tattoo and all that.
Yeah.
Like, the endurance is necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, integrity.
So you still stuck on enduring, right?
No, man, where we at? Let's go.
Okay.
What are the spaghetti?
The spaghetti, we found something.
Women are spaghetti, men are waffles.
What?
Waffles? That's not even the same food group.
It's like women are interconnected with everything. Men are compartmentalized.
I don't know. I feel like I'm more like a pancake than
That makes
a waffle.
absolutely no sense.
I knew I heard that.
Why are you
somewhere.
mixing food groups? Like, I was thinking pastas and sauces and toppings.
Meatballs, but
Meatball.
y'all are waffles.
Waffles?
Threw me off.
I think our problem, men are logical. Is that what it is? So when you said that women are spaghetti, our logical side of our brain kicked in, and we're like, well, what goes with spaghetti? We're the breadstick, we're the lasagna, we're the sauce, we're the meatballs.
Yeah.
Like, our logical brain was like all of the things that fit with spaghetti.
Yeah.
Who says waffles?
Spaghetti and waffles. Come on, man.
You know what? Let's tie this in. This is probably how Joseph made it for and endured without complaining for 20 plus years. Because a woman, we complaining. We got a lot to say.
Just throwing all your people under the bus.
No, I'm a woman. And
I know,
just
that's all your people.
Like, we have
Straight
all
under
the
the bus.
emotions. You went, Pretty said she would not complain. So, excluding Pretty.
I feel like we just got into a Taisha problem all of a sudden.
Women.
Said all women.
Women.
All women. The other woman in the room is like, not me.
Not me.
I'm going to come back to that. But.
All right. Spaghetti and waffles.
Okay,
All
no,
right.
no. Okay, so in general, we're talking about the integrity piece. Where are some areas that Joseph, why was integrity brought up in this story? Where are some areas that Joseph could have dropped the ball in this waiting period?
Man, with Tiffany. Like,
No, please. Okay.
with
Let's not call her
Potiphar's wife. With Potiphar's wife. Yeah.
Let's not call her Tiffany. With
I'm going to have such a hard time ever
Yeah,
hearing this story
now-
or reading this story and
Yep.
not see Tiffany.
Yeah. So with Potiphar's wife, like, he had an opportunity
gosh.
to really just go there. I'm pretty sure, she had it planned out, like she was coming after him.
Yeah.
And for him to stand his ground, I mean, he could have anywhere, anytime. But he stood his ground and just really stayed faithful, showed integrity. During a time where he could have easily said, you know what, ain't nobody gonna find out. So yeah.
What would have happened to Joseph if he would have done that? Like, how would the story have ended? Do you think he still would have slid into that position as king, or like
If Potiphar would have found out,
Yeah.
it would have been over. It would have been over with.
a wrap?
Yeah,
I
he
don't
had
know
his
that-
boys in the he had his cupbearer and his the baker in jail because they offended him.
So I don't know that we could postulate like
Put that in there, yeah.
what would have happened.
I'm a storyteller. I like.
Yeah. So by comparison, we're going to get into David next week. So would David's story have been different if he didn't sleep with Bathsheba? Joseph's story may have ended up being similar to David's. Right? It could have been that Joseph actually commits this sin, gets thrown in prison, in prison is convicted by God, repents
Yes.
in prison.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that could have been, and we could still celebrate his life and his story, even as a flawed individual. Right? Like, the same way we do for David. Like, we're like, man, David is amazing. He's a man. He's my favorite guy in the Bible. He's a man after God's own heart. He broke at least half of the 10 Commandments, like, very publicly.
Yeah.
And so, like, we can still celebrate him. So, like, I think, yeah, Joseph's, if he didn't have integrity, the story we tell would definitely be very different.
Yeah.
Right? What we are able to emphasize and focus on would be very different. But part of what makes Joseph easy to celebrate and look at as a model for us to try and follow is that he did have integrity.
Yeah.
It's good. It's an encouragement. How, this might be personal, but have there been areas in your life where you had to use integrity on your way to where you are now?
Oh yeah. Yep. And just real. I have some. I probably need to write a book on my job. But when I was in my former career, we would do these things where we would go, kind of search people's homes and stuff like that. And several times I've come across thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars, and was an opportunity where I could have, and no one would have found out.
Wow.
And this was before the cell phones and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that moral law was in me. Like, nah, I can't do this. And I wouldn't even save then. So it was like, nah, I can't do this. What if I don't even know what that money belongs to. We think
Right.
it's this, but it could have been a child's future. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was many a times and a lot of those different occasions like that where thank God for his moral law being on my heart where I didn't do those things.
That's good. And I like how it's like, we always talk about the exposure, like with David, but God sees you, right, before anyone else. And so that is, I think he is the one that we should be worried about taking account of the things we are not being having integrity with, and so I think it's more of a heart issue in this particular story with Joseph. Like, it just showed that his heart was like enduring well. Because like, you think about the attitude, you think about all of the moments where he could have felt entitled to do whatever, but he chose a different route. And I think that's an encouragement for all of us. It's like, it may not be a moment where people gonna catch you doing it, or you might get away with it, but it's like a heart thing. So that was good. So are we ready to land?
You're so nervous about saying land the plane.
I am so nervous because I don't know when to say it.
I've given you trauma around the phrase land your plane.
Trauma all the time. So I think this is.
I need to get you a T-shirt that just says it's time to land the plane.
That has become my thing.
Or maybe we could get like a little flag, and I could just like hold up the flag when it's time to
land. I like that. You could be like the little.
I'll just like stick it like right here in the weird flower.
I don't know if Pretty will like that.
I don't know what I just broke on your set design.
So no. Green pastures. So that'll be good. Since you're the host, so you can kind of like wave the flag when it's time to land the plane.
I think it's more fun when you think we're done, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Go another 20, 30 minutes.
It makes sense. But no, I think the story has a lot of nuggets, and I think it's a great tool to talk about with your small groups. We actually did that yesterday, and it was good. Good conversation came from it, just to see where people were with like this journey, because people are in different places on this waiting period and being faithful. And it's always amazing to be in community with people and see where they are and see how you can pray with them and hold them accountable. Let's give some good takeaways. How can we wait well? What are some things we can take away from the story of Joseph to really help us live a faithful life?
Yeah, just continue to walk in it. It's something that we have to be intentional about. For some, having integrity is very hard because maybe that's what they grew up in. They've seen things. Shiestiness around them their whole lives or whatever. Maybe they have poor examples. So if you're a Christian, man, like we can't be that anymore. So we have to be intentional about let your yes be yes and your no be no. We have to learn how to wait right. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times we get so impatient when we're waiting and stuff like that. But just trusting and really digging into that, knowing that God really is going to do what He said He's going to do. And just with the faithfulness. Just stay faithful. Just stay faithful. And a lot of times we're like, oh, just do it like Nike, just keep doing it. But it is like we really have to be intentional about walking out this thing. Those things right there will make your call easy. So just keep walking in it. Don't let the person that you're on your job be like, oh, you can't trust him. They're not a faithful people. Man, we got a lot of people looking at us, so we have to walk in those things.
That's good.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I think for me, I'm really focused on that endurance piece. That endurance is being faithful and having integrity today, and then doing it again tomorrow, and then doing it again the next day, the next day. And it's how do you show that you have endurance? It's one day at a time. Like you got to demonstrate it today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But just focus on today. Be faithful. Have integrity today.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good. Do I have to do one? No.
Yep. Always. Okay. What you got?
So
give us that Taisha wisdom.
I think that, and it comes from God. I think that the biggest thing I took away from this is it's not about the destination. It's about the journey and how you live out that journey. It's not about where you land. I think the story kind of stops when he becomes king. It tells a little bit of like how he treated his brothers and things. But we with most of the people that are highlighted in the Bible, like we see where they eventually land, but really most of the chapters are filled with like how they walked out that journey. So if someone was going to write a story about you, let it be one where they can see that faithfulness, where they can see that integrity, where they can see the enduring and suffering well, and just know that God is with you. That's the biggest takeaway for me. Like, God is with you in the process. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I am so glad I was here with you today. Tune in next week. We are going to be talking about David. I like the story of David, so I get to attack Pastor Brent a little bit. No, I'm just playing.
Hey. Man, there's so much to talk about with David. We have more information on David's life than just about anybody else in Scripture.
I know. It's so much to unpack. So much. But yeah, no, thank you for rocking with us today, and I hope you tune in next week. Let us know if you have questions. We are always looking for the questions that we can answer for you guys here on the show. And until next time, I love you. See you soon.